welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we smash apart the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute chunks so we can analyze them in scrupulous detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Road to Infinity podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle, so getting back to this minute of Batman vs. Superman, you know when...
Wait, no, hold on. No, we're not here talking about Batman vs. Superman.
What?
This is about Incredible Hulk.
Well, no, but I'm talking about Doomsday.
No.
And that creature.
No. We're not talking about Doomsday. We're talking about Abomination.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Is that what the...
See what we did there? Release the Snyder Cut. But meanwhile, we're talking about minute 89 of The Incredible Hulk / Doomsday, episode 89. No, I'm sorry. Incredible Hulk, minute 89, directed by Louis Leterrier, from the far back distant universe of 2008. So
we
yes,
kid
because we love. CG is hard and character design is harder.
Yes.
Sometimes things get reused. What are you going to do? So the big cliffhanger everybody's waiting on is, what was the end of Ross's sentence?
Yeah, what'd he say?
And he says, turn us around. There you go. Now you can sleep tonight.
There we go.
So then we see, and we get back another of the CG shots you were talking about. The CG helicopter banking and heading back to New York proper.
I got to tell you, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they could have totally dialed this in. I mean, it's a dark scene, so you're only going to get so much detail.
Right.
No, this actually looks nice. It has aged well.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. Because we might not be as praiseworthy of the CG department in the rest of this minute. So
no.
But then on the helicopter, Bruce notices that something has changed, and he says, "We're going back. Why are we going back?" Like he figures out that they've pulled a Yui and they're headed back the other way. Ross is still hovering over the thing, and he says, "Damn it, get me eyes down there." And you know whose eyes he's talking about, don't you, Rob?
Oh, tell me.
Because it's time for another installment of our small action movie within an action movie. Joris Jarsky is the white soldier. Arnold Pinnock is the black soldier. Ting Fong is an Asian cop. Jason Hunter is white cop. They are Delta 4. Episode 2, Blood on the Streets.
Can I call an audible on that?
Sure.
The Streets of New Canuck.
The Streets of New Canuck. That's true. Anyway. Because, guess what, folks? This wasn't shot in New York at all. Not even on American soil, one little bit. So anyway, so the soldier turns on his helmet cam. That is Joris who turns on his helmet cam, and we get to see Arnold Pinnock and has his big line of the thing. What the hell was that?
Oh yeah, it looks bad.
As they're in their Humvee, flying along, and they see explosions on the side. I'm getting that they're running parallel to Abomination, like he's on the one street and they're on the other. So as they're coming along, and so then now Ross is seeing the helmet cam straight out of Aliens.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
So Gorman back at the base, so he's watching this go on. So we're sort of watching it as he's watching it. So our Humvee comes around the corner, takes a bad turn, and crashes into a car. We won't know how bad this damage is until a little bit later. They must have been going really fast because they're on Broadway, and they have turned onto Yonge Street in Toronto. Isn't that amazing? They really took a bad turn. No, this is supposed to be West 125th Street in Harlem. But it actually is Yonge Street in Canada. So they redressed the entire thing.
And I'll tell you this, props to all of them because it looks pretty good.
That marquee is legitimately cool.
Yeah,
the
Apollo.
You can see the Apollo.
Yes,
come on.
No, and actually we were just there. I think a little over 2 years ago. We went actually for a college tour at Columbia with my daughter, and at first glance, if you weren't like eagle-eyeing it, you'd say, "Oh yeah, that is a street in Harlem." Like I would totally believe that. Props, good job to everybody who's dressed that.
Literally, you can go through, and I'm not going to get into the minutia of it because we have a lot of stuff to talk about for this minute because things are heating up. But if you go through and you pause at any moment, you can see so much work went into the dressing of this. I mean, every sign you see that, first of all, doesn't have a U in the word color and that kind of stuff had to be redone. I mean, and everything you see in Harlem, that's something the production made, brought there, and put up on the side. I mean, all the street signs, all that. I mean, if there's post boxes, all those things are totally different in Canada. I agree. It it was great. I mean, it really looks like a street in New York. You would never really expect, except, it's just much cleaner.
We've talked a little bit about this. The proper street lights, they're the vertical street lights, not the horizontal lights.
Right.
You're right. The mailboxes, everything, the cars. I mean, we're seeing everything from like 70s LTDs to like a whole bunch of different stuff. It's completely believable. Just fantastic attention to detail.
Yeah.
Nice job.
So they come around and we see a car frantically trying to get out of the way. This is a 1975 Oldsmobile Cutlass Salon, and it backs over a hydrant. It's a car that's the same age as I am.
Nice.
So the Humvee clips the yellow cab, blows out a tire, but it still keeps going, so you see sparks coming from there. On the right-hand side, you'll see actually a Canadian store. They did not change. That's Mr. Hi-Fi. That was a very famous electronics store in Toronto, which sadly did not make it through the last recession and had. It was a big sort of tourist. They're a local favorite place. It was their local Best Buy, but a famous.
Well, that's a nice little Easter egg for Canadians. Mm-hmm. I mean, like
for Canadians, yeah, they're like Mr. Hi-Fi. I remember I bought my first Walkman there.
That's awesome.
So speaking of landmarks, we also see the marquee for the Apollo Theater. So this is entirely made up by the production department and hung up in front of a regular store. The Apollo Theater was established in 1913, has a long and illustrious history. They recently featured the Apollo Theater in last season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh.
Mrs. Maisel actually performed at the Apollo there. I think it takes place in 1953 or so.
Oh, okay.
So that's how long of a history it has in pop culture, and they're still shooting more stuff there now. We get back there. So we see the Abomination throwing a car, and he almost hits Omar Little. Oh my God, that's Michael K. Williams. So Michael K. Williams, for those who don't know, is a multiple Emmy Award nominee for his role on The Wire.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
He's on screen for maybe 3 seconds, and you're like, wow, that's... what the heck was... And then you're off to something else, and Abomination, blows up another car. But it's like, why the heck was Michael K. Williams there? Now, the first thought is you're like, you know what? Everybody's got to pay their dues. You got to go through, you got to do cameos, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But that is absolutely not the case here, because by the time he shot this cameo, he had already wrapped The Wire. He had done 41 episodes of The Wire and been Emmy nominated, and he had done 13 movies.
Whoa.
So this is not a paying your dues, trying to make it into the big time. Michael K. Williams was big time already. So only recently, if we had done this podcast, a year or 2 years ago, that would have been the end of it. But it turns out, because we're doing it now, Michael K. Williams has actually come out and talked about this.
Oh. Why
was he in the Hulk? And so he did an interview, and he talked about this. He was friends with Edward Norton, and Edward Norton said, you should come up and do a thing in the Hulk. And Lou Leterrier is like, I love Michael K. Williams. Yeah, we should totally put him in the Hulk. And they brought him out to do that, and they actually shot a scene and then didn't use it.
Wait, and we haven't seen this. This is not a deleted scene.
No, it has never been seen. Nobody even knew this existed until he talked about it. Now, I have a quote from him. It was actually a scene that got cut out. It was a scene where I got caught between the Abomination and the Hulk, and I was trying to stop them from tearing up the streets of Harlem. But then I saw the Abomination was just so irate, I told the Hulk to go kick his butt. I'm also going to clean it up as we go along. So I come out of the building, I scream, and then I'm running with everybody else, and then all of a sudden I get stuck between the Hulk and the Abomination, and I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do? Everybody calm down. Stop messing up my streets. Why don't you go to Connecticut? Fight over there. Why are you in Harlem? And then finally the Abomination is getting real mad, and I'm like, you know what, Hulk? I don't like him. Go take him out. I think Edward Norton was a little annoyed that my scene got cut because he wrote and directed it. But I think he was a little annoyed with the studio because they vetoed him, and he was fun to work with. Edward Norton put his heart and soul into that. He was very, very kind to me on set. I guess the powers that be, powers of the pen, they call it, decided to cut it out. So that was from an interview with IGN.
I want to say this, and you'll hear this again and again. Mm-hmm. There is a cut of this movie I want to see.
I know, right?
That scene you just outlined.
Yeah.
Is a modern MCU scene of perfect comedy.
Yes.
In what is a insane action moment. Why would you cut that?
I don't know. I came to The Wire late, but I I have become a huge fan of Michael K. Williams. I have seen tons of interviews. Actually, if you're curious who he is or you haven't done any of his stuff, I highly, highly recommend you watch the episode of Finding Your Roots with him on it. Because he gets to find out his entire ancestry and where his people came from. And the soul of that man is just astounding. Like, he has a fascinating story. So he deserved way more than 3 seconds of the Hulk. And you're absolutely right. That scene would have been great. Just him standing there and like the Abomination roars and he doesn't react at all and goes, you know what, Hulk?
Yes, that is...
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. Going back to the setups of these scenes, and you're talking about like the CG of the cars being flung, and even like these long shots. There's great shots that we have as we're looking at when we study them. The one like big long shot where you see all the crowd and you see all the people in the street. You see the explosions in the background and a perfectly rendered Abomination in the back, just like hulking, no pun intended, hulking in the middle of the carnage. Beautifully shot. I mean, and it's not beautifully shot because this is beautifully composed.
Long
because
lens.
this is a ton of different things all being brought together to make this shot. This all looks great so far.
So far. Yeah. But so we go from Michael K. Williams and then we cut back to the helicopter. I love this little reaction. Bruce is still in manacles, still sitting on the thing, and he hears Abomination's roar and says, no, this is his nightmare come to life. Someone else has cracked it and there's another Hulk loose. Ross looks over to him like, okay, so you want to explain what's going on here? You're the one who... So when we cut back to the ground and we see in all his spiny glory the Abomination from top to tail.
Well, we do have a moment of Bruce stands up to see what's on the screen at the same time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And the other soldiers are like ready to go like, dude, what are you doing? Because they think he's going after Ross.
Yeah.
And very quickly they realize, no, he just wants to see it for himself.
Yeah. And so when he sees it, we see it.
Right. And there is kind of a neat moment where they do share, Ross and him share a moment where it's maybe the only moment in the movie so far where Ross doesn't want to kill him, right? Because now he's just like, oops.
We're on the same page now.
I may need you to do me a solid here, Bruce, because I think I did something bad. And then we do. We get this great sweeping. Again, this movie is good for its sweeping shots.
Yeah.
Up the street, and there it is with no Batman or Superman in sight.
Nope. and no pants.
No pants.
Yeah, no pants. Rather, that was a big conversation in the thing too. Also, one of the big defining features in the comic books of the Abomination is he has these pointy ears. He has like Spock ears almost, like that stick out from the sides. Every version of his character, he's always had those. And they decided, no, we shouldn't have those because if they were in there for real, Hulk would just bite them off.
What?
I guess shades of Evander Holyfield. I don't know, but that was the design. So like the one sort of defining thing, and they took it away. But yeah, so let's talk about the Abomination. Sometimes bad design happens to good movies. So I'm a big fan of the Hobbit movies, but I hate their goblins. Hate them. I think they're terrible. And same thing here. I cannot stand this design. And I'm sorry for all the people who worked really hard on it and slaved and labored over it and all this stuff. But what is going on with the Abomination design? Like, okay, so he has the regular human head on a long, elaciated, like giraffe kind of neck, and then giant clavicles that are out, and then spines down his back. Okay, spines coming.
Godzilla back.
Yeah, Godzilla back. Yeah, well, yeah, ridges would be fine, but like, I mean, like the plates, sure, but like the pointy things that point down, I don't know what the point of those are. And then why the extra joint in his legs?
Just beastie.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just like, check out my rib cage, y'all.
It's on the outside.
Yeah, huh? Right? Ribs are in the season.
Oh boy.
I cannot stand this. I don't know what was going. I understand. Hulk is basically Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's just a giant, massive muscle. He's just a big green dude. Like, I know they had to go somewhere different with this thing, but like, I don't know how many people had to go. You look at that design on a piece of paper and go, yes, that's my guy.
And we don't have any. There's the thrown away designs, nothing like that. Nothing's out there. It's just this is it.
No, because of 2008, like there's very little of that stuff that actually survives, and because it's the Black Sheep, it doesn't show up in any of the Marvel art books or anything.
And nobody's going to do like the deep dive into the making of the Incredible Hulk at this point.
It's us, baby.
Yeah.
It's you and me.
No, I mean, okay. So here's a couple things I want to say about this. Number one, I'm a designer, or at least I try to be, right? And here's the one thing I know after 25 years of doing this. You have to make your peace with yourself. If you're a creative person, I think of any kind, not just designers, writers, I'm sure, and everything.
Oh, sure.
When you're writing for other people, right?
Yeah.
You've got to make the peace with the fact that sometimes your best work ends in the trash.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
That just happens. It's not about selling out. It's just, hey, this is what happens. You get contracted to do a job. Sometimes that is not the stuff that ends up in the final version of whatever art that it is you do. So that's number one.
Yes.
Number two, I mean, I think we also take for granted, because there has been such amazing artistic direction in these movies. And when I say these movies, I'm specifically talking about the MCU, that we have gotten spoiled.
Yeah.
We have gotten spoiled where lightning is struck. It's gorgeous and it is beautiful. And we love the way how they've reimagined something into the real world from the comic book page, and all of this stuff is incredible. And this was just one of those times where a lot of smart people, very talented people, said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and it doesn't work. What I am just blown away by this design is, well, and clearly it doesn't just happen here. Our jokes, which again, we're not meaning to, deride people's work.
People made a lot of money.
No.
So it's like we're just armchair quarterbacking here.
But it does. If this were a DC minute by minute podcast, right, we would talk about that Batman versus Superman movie, because there were a lot of people not happy with Doomsday in that movie, and yet they share certain design ideologies, right?
Oh, yeah.
I actually dig, we didn't talk about this in a previous minute, but his first reveal, when he first transforms, and they do the close-up behind him as he's standing over Stearns, it's his skin is like translucent.
Yeah.
It's actually a really nice effect, right?
Yeah.
I like that. I think this whole monstery, beastie thing with the oversized hands and legs, right, and stuff, everything else, I can't deal with the pinhead. Mm-hmm. That little tiny human head, I'm going to pull from another science fiction franchise, right? Alien Resurrection. The human hybrid alien.
Oh, yeah. The human alien hybrid. Yeah, with the face on the alien head.
It doesn't work. I don't know what else to say. Like, no.
And we know that by the time you get to this point in the movie, that this was being controlled by committee. Like this is not like a pure auteur thing where they're just allowed to do whatever they want. This isn't Mars Attacks or something where they're basically just like, you know what you're doing, go do whatever you want. This was like very much like there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen at this point, especially in this point of the movie.
Here, I'm going to try to be positive.
Okay, please do.
That voice is velvety.
The voice is really good.
Those growls, I mean, they are just like.
So there's a couple things. First of all, that's Tim Roth. Obviously, Tim Roth did the voice of Abomination, and they did some audio trickery. But there's another guy that's involved in that, and that's Fred Tatasciore. So Fred Tatasciore is actually a very well regarded voice actor, and he is the voice of the Hulk. And pretty much anything Disney has their stable voices. When they need a Hulk, he's the guy they call, and so he has a incredible low range, and so he can really do those growls. So I think even in the previous one in '88, when there was that chuckle, I'm pretty sure that was him. Like, I know his voice pretty well.
Nice.
So he did a lot of, and actually, according to IMDb, there's like 4 or 5 different people who are involved. So I don't know if they just brought in other people just to do different sounds. But I know that Fred was one of the people who was definitely involved in helping to shape the voice of Abomination.
Well, that's nice. I like that a lot.
After we look upon our works and weep, then we cut back to the helicopter, and so there's just a great, almost like a slow turn of Bruce looking over to Ross, like, okay, what now? And that's where our minute comes to an end.
And it ends. We don't know what's he going to say, right?
Yeah,
okay,
but it's a great turn.
Well, not only that, but here's the other thing that's beautiful about it. It's all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So here's the weirdest. We got to this last stretch of the movie, this total three's a crowd where it's not worked. And amusingly, they all now, I think I love the fact that it is setting up for that. Ross is now the one on the hot seat. He's the one that is the screw up. Mm-hmm. I love just the whole look and the framing of that. That like, okay, now what are you gonna say?
And we won't find out until minute 90. So in the meantime,
all right. So now, Kyle, we could probably agree that in the world of characters of CGI characters, maybe this Abomination is not a 5-star design.
No, I would definitely agree. It's definitely not a 5-star design.
The voices, I still love that voice. That
but
voice is
say,
fantastic.
and maybe that's the thing. Maybe the voices are worthy of 5 stars.
Oh, continue.
So
what else?
So if you if you there's we try not to be negative, even though but so we focus on the things we loved, and we loved the voice. So
yes,
for all the people, for those many people who helped contribute to that, maybe they are worthy of those stars.
What is one way that our wonderful listeners could honor the quality of that voice?
So you could take those 5 stars and head over to another place where that features a lot of voices, and that's iTunes. Or any podcatcher, really, that focuses on people's voices. And you drop those 5 stars right on the review area of the Marvel Movie Minute and let the people know how much you appreciate the sound of the human voice.
Absolutely.
And if that's not enough for you and you don't want to write a review, there also is an internet phenomenon that you could try and jump on. It is a bandwagon. You need to jump on it. And it is 5 stars for Spar. Drop 5 stars in, put 5 stars so far in the review. We'll know, you'll know, and it'll help us find more friends to enjoy this podcast.
Way to go. Thanks.
Hope you had a smashing good time. Until next time, true believers.
Bye.